Welcome back to the Ing.NYC. I'm Koala Shea. Now to the latest on the escalations with North Korea.
Our reporter, Koala Shea, joins us from downtown Manhattan with more. Koala.
Yes, Jamie, President Trump has served in office for 100 days, and many immigrants in New York City are upset with the president's policies. They call it a box because they feel literally boxed in by increasingly conservative federal rulings under President Trump's administration. So what I'm tasting right now is the brown rice pudding made by Japanese premium rice. The city has already paid $16 million annually to subsidize subway fares for disabled riders, for school children and elderly. The suspect is also believed to have stolen another Brady jersey, was worn in the 2015 Super Bowl. This past summer, the Arlington community lost Catherine Malatesta. What's specifically the service that you guys are providing for the teenagers? In October, China's long-time one-child policy was finally ended and was replaced with a two-child policy.
A new budget proposal from the city will help low-income residents receive half-price Metro cards. Koala Che has more on this.
If the city council has its way, low-income New Yorkers will pay half price for Metro cards. Council members approved a $15 million proposal to fund a new pilot program. Transit advocates and low-income riders are hoping the proposal will get passed. 23-year-old Samuel Santella is one of the low-income riders who will benefit. Every morning, he takes 2 buses and a train to take his little sister to school. The commute is over in an hour. Mr. Santella is paying $121 for a full-price Metro card. That's almost a quarter of his family's living expenses. He's not alone.
We're still economically struggling. Have a lower price Metro card will help us like you have no idea.
It's going to be helpful for students that from a low-income family. For me, I live in Project, you know how it is. So which is going to help us, help our parents out.
According to a Community Service Society report, 1 in 4 low-income New Yorkers say they can't afford a Metro card. Transit advocacy groups have been working closely with the city council members to get the proposal passed. The pilot program will target the low-income residents, specifically households living under the federal poverty line. That's about $24,000 for a family of 4. By 2020, transit advocates hope to fully fund a $200 million program that will cover New Yorkers aged 18 to 64 who live under the poverty line. That's about 800,000 people. But Mayor de Blasio opposed city funding for this program. He believes the state should be responsible for paying. Transit advocates hope the program will be adopted in the city's budget for the next fiscal year, which will be released by July 1st.
Thank you very much, Koala. I think the big question, I suppose, me and the viewers would like to know is why is the mayor opposed to paying for this program?
Because the mayor thinks that the state should be responsible for the funding because the MTA is a state authority. President Trump has served in office for 100 days, and many immigrants in New York City are upset with the president's policies. About 4,000 immigrant workers gathered at Foley Square and focused attention on what they call is the need for increased protection for undocumented immigrants.
Every day we feel upset. Every time we watch the news, he say, we don't want to get any Mexicans. We want to build the wall. We want to deportation everyone in here.
President Trump's administration's focus on deportations has really created a lot of fear in the community. It's led to families being pulled apart from each other.
These people are protesting the executive order that President Trump signed on January 25th that make it easier for law enforcement to deport certain undocumented immigrants. The administration says that it's necessary to protect national security. Here in New York City, lawmakers are considering 9 bills that will protect undocumented immigrants.
Working with the City Council, we're going to make sure that anyone unjustly faced with deportation will have the legal assistance they need to protect themselves and their family.
Mayor de Blasio said that the city will spend $16.4 million on legal assistance to undocumented immigrants. This will also be a part of his budget, which will be reviewed by the City Council later this week.
Koala, can you tell me how many undocumented immigrants are living in New York City?
Yes, Jamie, according to the Fiscal Policy Institute, there are about 500,000 undocumented immigrants live in New York City, and they contribute to $40 billion. That's about 3% to the state's GDP.
Thank you, Koala.
Are you ready? Are you ready to stand up?
Thousands of workers gather at City Hall to demand improved safety at construction sites.
We as the union construction workers are now standing up and being the voice for the non-union workers so that they get properly trained so we end this epidemic of fatalities on job sites.
Since July 2016, there have been 346 injuries and 7 fatalities, nearly 40% increase over the year before, according to the Department of Buildings. The Building and Construction Trade Council is sponsoring the rally. They say non-union workers are not getting trained properly.
I started non-union, I went to work for the union, and I'll never go back because they work unsafe.
This group wants City Council to pass legislation that will require safety training for all workers, union and not. Inside City Hall, lawmakers are considering this bill, one of 21. This real estate developer hires non-union workers and says they get trained.
We don't have accidents on the jobs. There are non-union people in open shop that may. We do not. We train our people.
The construction workers hope City Council will pass the legislation, but there is no timeline. For the Ink.NYC, I'm Koala Shea, reporting from City Hall. It's Beer Week. Restaurants are promoting beer and customers are drinking it. But one brewery sees a chance to make a difference by helping the American Civil Liberties Union.
I think right now we're all in the midst of just a crazy time in our country. If we're going to be out drinking beer and having a good time, why not do it for a good cause?
Taproom 307 on the Lower East Side is offering a special menu. 8 international dishes paired with local beers. 25% of its profits from this menu will go to the ACLU. Employees, managers, and the distributor are all on board.
I appreciate it that they want to help. Let's make money, but also turn this into something that can be a beneficial thing, to the community.
The beer manager came up with the idea, inspired by the diverse backgrounds of her colleagues, including the chef Omar Lopez, who is from Mexico.
We had to show to everybody we're working very hard. We are important in America.
Taproom 307 has done similar fundraising events in the past. Last month, they raised $4,000 for Planned Parenthood. This time it's the ACLU because they support its mission.
Human rights are crucial. The food industry, the beer industry, this is a very inclusive industry.
Although Taproom 307 just started its pairing menu for a day, they say what's more important than fundraising is to raise people's awareness for ACLU's immigration efforts. Reporting from the Lower East Side, this is Koala Shea for the Ink.NYC.
Hey, hey, ho, ho! Donald Trump has got to go!
Thousands of people of different backgrounds and religions gather at Times Square to protest Donald Trump's travel ban.
We are strong, never to be divided or defeated. I am Catholic, but today I am Muslim too.
My brothers and sisters are Muslim. We all are together. We're all American here. We all welcome people to become American here.
I am one of you. If you harm one of us, you harm all of us.
The rally was organized by hip-hop star Russell Simmons and was joined by many community leaders. One organizer says that having a rally before Trump's new executive order comes out next week will strengthen the Muslim community.
We will stand by our core American values and that the United States will continue to be a safe haven for those refugees who are looking to escape political oppression and suffering.
Linda Sassor, the head of the Arab American Association of New York, says that Trump's new order could impact Muslim families.
People's wives, their children, their parents might not be able to travel to this country. It's going to create a lot of frustration. So we have to stop him now before he continues to target our communities.
A revised executive order on immigration will be released this week, and how it will impact the Muslim community is yet to be seen. For the Ink.NYC, reporting from Times Square, I'm Koala Shea.
Flavor into it. A little freshness.
At the International Restaurant Show this year at the Javits Center, a Japanese rice demonstration caught people's attention. Chefs are making dishes using Japanese premium rice, combining this Asian ingredient with Western cooking styles.
The Japanese premium rice is a pretty versatile ingredient because it's a short grain rice. We use the Koshihikari Japanese premium rice to make risotto.
The Japanese Food Service Association based in Tokyo planned a rice showcase. They want to promote the significance of rice in Japanese cuisines overseas.
和食の中でも一番大事な要素になりますので、お米の美味しさっていうのを
In 2013, UNESCO added Japanese traditional cuisine, washuku, to the cultural heritage list.
登録されたというのは日本のその食文化が昔からの食文化が
The Japanese government statistics show that rice production in Japan has fallen 20% from 2005 to 2015. Simoguchi said the food industry in Japan is westernized. He hopes to build up the world reputation of rice here in New York in order to get the Japanese people's attention. So what I'm tasting right now is the brown rice pudding made by Japanese premium rice. This is being featured in the International Restaurant Show this week, which has attracted people from all over the world.
I only wish I had a bit more, you know, a bowl full. It was very tasty. It was a rice that I've never tasted before.
Jennifer McIntosh is visiting from the UK, consider using Japanese premium rice in her new restaurant in New York. For the Ink.NYC, this is Koala Shea reporting from the Javits Center. Although the investigation of the Paris attacks that occurred on November 13 is still ongoing, APN had a chance to talk to a reporter who works for a Franco-Chinese newspaper in Paris and the director of Boston University Paris Center. They told us about the situation in Paris over the past weeks. The reporter recalled what happened on that Friday night, November 13, when the city was under attack. He was just 200 meters away from the Bataclan concert hall, where the major attack took place. He recounted his own experience.
Around 9 p.m. on that night, people in my office started hearing many police cars and fire trucks passing by, which went on for about half an hour. We soon heard that shootings were happening in the 10th arrondissement and that about 5 or 6 people had been shot. Only later did we find out about the other attacks, like the suicide bombing at the Stade de France, where the French president was watching a football game. When I went out to investigate, at first it seemed like a pretty normal Friday night, with people drinking outside and not many realizing what had taken place. The attacks happened so suddenly, some people who saw the police blocking the roads felt confused and even quarreled with the officers. The atmosphere was intense. I was stuck in my office all night because both ways heading out were blocked by police barricades and public transportation was suspended. It was about midnight when I heard that the terrorists in Bataclan were shot dead. So the whole thing had been going on for about 3 or 4 hours. I left my office at 6 a.m. on the following morning, and the barricades were still up.
Renee Pombriand, the director of Boston University's Paris Center, also shared her personal reactions to this event.
What's the situation like in France right now?
Well, it's kind of like feeling hungover or kind of like someone hit you over the head. You know, you're kind of dizzy and you don't really, it happened all so fast and it was all so horrible that you just try to wake up from it all and then you realize, wow, it really is true what happened. You see a lot more military, a lot more police. You hear a lot of sirens, a lot of people checking bags when you go into public places. Sometimes you have to open your coat also because it's winter now. So in the metros, for example, they'll be closed sometimes because someone left a bag. So they're always worried it's a bomb. So they have to check it out first. Things like that. More annoying nuisances, but then again, everyone's used to it now. All U.S. programs in Paris and in France, no one decided to close because the French schools are still operating. The universities still have classes. And as of the Monday, everyone was back to school. So there's no reason why, we should think that this is going to happen again or that our students will be targeted. But we continue to run our classes and our internships. And next semester, the good news is that for the moment, no one's dropped out and no one in other programs either. So that's all good.
Juha Ahoud, France's ambassador to the United States, sent out a message to all French citizens resident in the U.S. He says, in this difficult period of our history, the support expressed for our home country is a valuable source of comfort. President Obama declared strongly in the hours following the attacks that the United States is on our side in the fight against extremism and terrorism. Such messages remind us of the string of friendships that unites both of our peoples. Please look for the extended version of this interview and a blog post on the Paris attacks on our website. For Arlington Public News, I'm Koala Shea. Because China's two-child policy has been just implemented, Chinese students from different colleges in Boston talk about the impact of this policy on their future plans. And we also asked a specialist about his opinions on this policy in an environmental perspective.
I would say I'm feeling pretty neutral about this because right now in China it's still really overly populated. So I don't want to see more children in this world. But personally, I still think those people, they might need siblings to be with them, maybe grow up together so that they know how to share with each other and they can also have a better sense of responsibility. And also for this family, they need someone to share the burden to support the family.
Actually, because I major in psychology and education, I've learned from research that actually having a sibling growing up with, it's better for the development of a child. So I feel really happy about the policy because I feel like there are more children in China can be really beneficial from this policy.
I think it might be a good thing for me to think about because if I get a chance to get married and then get the chance to have a second baby, I would definitely do so because, to be frank, growing up alone is kind of lonely.
A Brandeis University environmental professor remarked on possible impacts on resource use and population growth from the implementation of the policy.
Resources are limited, and now we're looking at populations of 7, 8, 9 billion people. We're over 7 already. So are we doomed? You know, is it already too many? So this is a question about the world, not just about China. And I guess I would say I'm pretty optimistic. I don't think that the Chinese population growth is certainly not a global game changer in terms of resources. Again, I feel like the technological gains we've made in energy, water and food, those basics, the things that tend to be fought over, that cause conflict, that cause displacement of people and so on, that knowledge has reached a point where if we're collaborative as a species, if we're internationally collaborative with technological transfer and knowledge, if we continue to keep open free trade, or at least good interchange of goods, so that when a nation is suffering a drought, there's food can be brought in and fill in that gap, because we're all going to suffer food scarcity at some point. Even the United States. Population growth is a function not just of numbers of children per family, but also number of families starting to raise children. So I think the population in China will continue to grow for some time. But again, I just don't see that as disaster. And I don't see that it will continue to grow inevitably. I think in the next few decades, we'll see the Chinese population begin to stabilize.
The impact of China's two-child policy remains to be seen, and people's attitude toward the implementation of the policy seem to differ. However, the environmental and social implications behind the policy may deserve further discussion. Please look for the extended version of this interview and a blog post on our website.